We're going to start with that.
We are sponsored by Chick-fil-A.
Sponsored by Chick-fil-A.
No, we're not.
But not actually.
No, we're not. Welcome, everybody, to another Star Wars video. We are concluding the original trilogy, unfortunately. So today we are talking about Return of the Jedi. So, we're actually first joined by one usual, one new. So
Jonah Morgan.
And somebody new.
Logan Wilson.
So, once again, because the movie we liked, we'll start where we didn't like.
Okay.
You guys go first.
Okay, I'll start with what we didn't like.
Yes, that's what we always do. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if it's a movie we like, we usually like to end on the good.
If it's a movie we don't find any flaws with, then
Understandable. I'll go first. I've got my notes here.
He took notes.
He took notes.
I did. I took
Within
notes.
the first 30 seconds, he's like, I already have 4 notes written down. And I'm like, you're efficient.
Everybody that has ever been at Andy's reviews, between me, Jonah, Taylor, Jackson, he is the only one who's prepared.
I like to prepare.
In terms of notes wise, because I mean Taylor is usually pretty prepared.
Yeah,
Taylor,
right.
yeah.
Okay, so right off the bat, the first thing I wrote down, and I think you mentioned it as we watched the film, but the Empire is just kind of stupid. And after the absolute failure of their first Death Star,
Do it again.
decides to do it again,
But with not as many people.
but without as many people.
And like the only change they make is, hey, don't make an open port to the outside. But no, but like they make that. There's the port in the first one where you shoot the missile in, right? But now there's a port big enough for a giant ship to fit
and they
in.
make it bigger.
Because,
make it bigger.
which the Millennium Falcon fits in.
Yeah.
Well, too.
There's some parts where the Millennium Falcon is just able to fly perfectly through, like it was shaped specifically for the Falcon.
Now it is Lando piloting it, I guess, but like still.
Right, that did bother me just slightly, but the Death Star is just so iconic and so cool that I honestly want to overlook it. But I have to say that it was a little bit stupid.
Yeah, I'd say the main thing that I didn't like. There's one of the only things that I can think of is Boba Fett is one of my favorite characters in Star Wars, and people don't realize, but the way he goes out in this movie is so stupid. Han is still blind from the carbonite,
sort of,
and Han turns around and accidentally stabs his jetpack with,
or like just hits his jetpack with a.
He hits his jetpack with like a spear, and he's, well, as far as people back then knew, dead.
Right.
Until the Mandalorian came along and proved that wrong.
Do you even want to say spoiler?
No.
There, it's been out.
I'm talking about. I mean, the Mandalorian season 2 was last year.
Right.
It's been long enough.
And now there's Book of Boba. Yeah.
Right. It's been out.
But the way he goes out, he's one of the most intimidating characters in any of the first 3 movies, and he goes out really simple.
Yeah, I've always compared Boba Fett as being like a fan favorite character and being so underused. I compare him to Maul a lot. Darth Maul was
it takes outside media for him to get a lot more, but even with how little they get in movies, they're still as popular.
We'll talk more about Maul next video.
Like a fan favorite character goes out in kind of a stupid way, but eventually
I feel like Maul went out better than
it was way better than Boba.
Maul had a giant fight. We'll talk more about that next video, because Maul is my favorite character in Star Wars ever. But yeah, I agree. Yeah. There's the same kind of vibe.
The same kind of vibe there. Fan favorite character that eventually gets more attention and recognition and later.
But gets embarrassed by the way he dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Dies.
Both of them.
I do have one thing that I'm iffy on. This is not something I absolutely hate.
I'll defend the Ewoks with my life. So
don't you dare.
It won't be those. We'll get to them a little bit later. But one thing that I've always just been very iffy on, because we just rewatched this movie, because originally we were going to do this and record Phantom Menace afterwards, and then Logan was like, well, how about we just rewatch Return of the Jedi?
Because it had been a while since I'd seen this movie too.
Yeah, because when we did The New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, we just went off of pure memory, and we recorded those videos
because Empire I watched recently, and then all the sequels I feel like I watch every couple months, really, because I love them.
The most recent one I've seen was Revenge of the Sith for New Year's.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that video.
You should post that clip on YouTube as a short.
You know what? I'll put it in right here.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go! Woo! Let's go!
There you go.
Very cool.
Very cool.
So, that's the most recent movie that I have seen in terms of Star Wars, but one thing that I was always a bit iffy on, even just rewatching it, the whole, getting the entire thing on with Jabba.
It's iconic.
the first.
It has its moments. Don't get me wrong.
Yes, I agree with that.
It has its
I'll
moments.
say that.
But like you pointed out,
But
too,
Boba dying is part of that.
well,
Sequence.
not that, but also this is something I didn't notice until you pointed out. It feels a bit longer.
The first quarter of that movie is admittedly slow.
It's
admittedly kind
drawn
of slow.
And it feels so disconnected from the rest of the film. It just feels so. That's one of my biggest issues. That you go from that and then you go to.
It's just a setup. It's just a setup device. I think for them to get. It's more. Of a, it's more
I
of a
understand.
setup.
Like really, the only 2 point that like. There were very few points I saw with that scene. Was like some big moments of like Jabba dying, Boba dying, them getting Han back,
Right,
and
that was kind of the purpose.
and putting Leia in that outfit.
They
Iconic.
knew exactly.
They knew what they were doing.
Iconic.
They knew what they were doing with this outfit. Even still, why?
But no, I think that entire first quarter of that movie was just a drawn out plot device to get Han back,
And it
which
just went
I
on too
didn't
long.
hate it. It
I
was a
didn't.
little slow.
I didn't hate it. Don't get me wrong, but
was a
it's
little
very
slow.
middle. It's like it's something I'll put in like the
Right,
category.
but
I'll-
that barge fight. Is
I'll
just
say I'll say that when I think of Return of the Jedi, one of, if not the first thing I think of is when Luke does that. He grabs that
Yes.
board that he's on and
The,
does
like,
that
diving board.
flip and catches the lightsaber. That's sick because it also happens in the greatest video game ever made, Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga. That's like the first thing I think of is that flip that he does.
It's absolutely iconic. I loved that as a child. I told them this. I when I was a small child, I did that at the pool. I tried to jump off the diving board and grab it, and I busted my face trying to do the.
You
Luke
did it.
Skywalker
You did it in a
thing.
pool. Okay.
Public
Yeah.
pool. Public pool. I did that, and I busted my face open trying.
Because
to do
that's
the Luke
basically what he
Skywalker
does it
thing.
off of is a diving. It's a
looks like
diving board.
like a plank that you see on like a pirate ship or something.
Awesome.
Yeah,
It's sick.
it's
Certain parts of that scene are they're not great.
yeah.
Yeah.
The main thing is just like the way that Boba goes out, and just the whole thing with just Leia in that outfit. I just never understood.
They wouldn't do that now. They couldn't do that now.
No, they wouldn't.
They wouldn't be.
I mean,
able to.
Carrie Fisher even warned Daisy Ridley about just that outfit as a whole.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Be careful. Don't let
more so the people that Carrie Fisher
Because-
had to deal with.
because like one scene where she's manning the cannon, you realize how little clothes she actually has on.
Yeah,
Right.
and I'm just like,
It's just like a
why?
little like piece of fabric, and you're like, wait, what?
Definitely different times in the 80s.
Yeah,
definitely different times in the 80s.
they could not do that.
They could not do that today, and I don't think they should.
Nope.
No, they shouldn't.
They
That's-
shouldn't. Absolutely not.
That's
I only have one complaint left that I actually wrote
Yeah.
down that I noted. And
yeah.
it
I don't
was-
think I have anything else.
And it
unless-
was the whole the scene where Luke tells Leia that they're siblings. That was so drawn out.
It's a long scene, and then it
It
continues.
was a long scene. It was very awkward.
It continues whenever Han walks up too, which
Yeah.
I thought was not needed.
Yeah. I don't
Okay,
think
yeah,
it
that was a bit
necessary.
drawn out.
Yeah, that
But-
was very drawn out.
I think that's all I have.
He took a really long time to say, "Hey, you're my sister." That's
Right. He could have told her immediately.
he's
and
so
everything,
extra. He's
like-
so extra.
But, it's like,
Luke's so extra.
but actually, jumping into what we liked, Luke is at his peak in terms of character. As soon as you see him and just like,
oh god.
he's so
It's
cool.
it's a totally different character than he plays in
Yeah,
New
for
Hope.
sure.
Which really shows you just like the growth that
He's
this
more
character
more
has.
grown up. Yeah.
The growth that the character goes through in that trilogy, the arc comes full circle in this movie. It's
so
absolutely
good.
incredible, and it's disappointing to see. What
We're
they
getting.
do
We're
later.
gonna wait. We're
We're
gonna
gonna
wait.
get
We're
there
gonna
later.
wait. We're gonna wait.
We're gonna get there.
Okay,
later.
the first thing that I said,
I might have to edit in so many beeps in that video.
Maybe.
I'll be the voice. If you know what
Maybe.
video they're talking about, I'll be the voice of reason.
We're,
in that
I'm gonna,
video.
we're gonna say it right now.
He's gonna-
Last Jedi, me and him are gonna tear this movie apart.
I'll be
gonna
the
defend that
voice of
movie.
reason. I hate it, but I don't hate it as much as they do. But we'll get
We
there.
think it is the worst film in cinema history, but
That's
we're gonna
not
get back
true.
to that.
We'll
I said,
get there. But I'm gonna say the same exact thing that I said first in both the other ones. Vader.
Yeah.
once again,
Vader.
incredible.
Vader.
Vader.
This is and like his costume changes to where he can move around more freely, like you see in the
Yes.
the last lightsaber fight. He moves around pretty well.
Yeah, that. Oh my gosh! Even just jump into that, which complements both of these characters. The final fight between Luke and Vader, I personally think was a bit better than
The
Empire.
choreography in that is
The music is
way
also
better.
really really good.
It's so cool. That entire fight was just
Yeah.
so great. And then Vader turning back to the light for a short amount of time, which
and
I think was good.
killing Palpatine.
Right.
Dead.
He's dead.
He's dead.
He's absolutely dead.
We'll also
that.
get to that. Anyways.
He is dead.
A little sidebar real quick. You mentioned, I did write this down about halfway through the movie, that John Williams' use of motifs, which is a fancy term for a common musical theme, it's just absolutely perfect.
Yes.
It is just, it helps move the movie along so well. It just helps tie everything together.
Yeah, in that fight scene, that piece of music starts whenever Luke grabs his lightsaber, and I said this to you, that whenever he goes to get Sidious and they clash, and that's a really great shot.
And Sidious doesn't even
and the music starts whenever he does that, and it's really good.
So cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's its own little universe in just the music of Star Wars.
Yeah,
it's great.
We could spend an entire video talking about just
People
the music, just the music of Star Wars.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's great.
So good.
Yeah.
Let's see what I mean. This is also the movie where Yoda does die.
Yes.
What I didn't notice is he dies initially. He dies first, and then he disappears because he stops breathing, and Luke is like,
"Right,
wait, what?
Wait, did that just happen?" And then he disappears, like pretty much most other Jedi do. Because that's what Obi-Wan does when Vader strikes him down. He turns.
And nobody's done it better since Alec Guinness did it. So
Yoda ends up dying from old age, which at this point he's like what?
800,
900? I was going to say 900. Somewhere
that.
between 900 to 1,000 years old. So it makes sense because he's old.
Yeah.
And then this is also This is also another thing, going back to something I was kind of iffy on, and this is mostly because of what happened in Empire. The reveal that Luke and Leia are sisters.
Siblings.
Yeah.
Siblings.
Keep it in.
They were siblings.
Keep it in.
I was also, I'll keep that. that took a second because I was like, what? But the reveal that they're siblings, I'm like, that was I don't know how I felt about that, especially considering what happened to Empire when Leia kissed him. Yeah, that's one thing I was always sort of iffy on, like.
And then she says, "I knew it all along."
Then why did you
kiss him?
Kiss him. It's fine though.
Oh, this is completely unrelated, but one thing I liked is all the outfits in this movie really.
Costuming. I noticed
Luke is the only Jedi ever to wear solid black. Like Anakin's are like black and dark brown. Right. Anakin's are a lot darker than Obi-Wan's, but Luke's are just straight up just black. Yeah. And you see him and you're like, dude, that looks awesome.
Yeah.
But anyways,
the costuming in the film is just
it's really
incredible.
Good.
The Endor outfits.
Han's the vest is just.
Yeah, Han's outfit, all the Rebel Endor outfits, such a cool design.
Yes.
Just sort of going back to that. I mean, all the characters that we've been introduced to are just as great here as they've been. And in cases like Luke, you really see, and even Leia, you see how much they've grown since the first one.
Right, character.
Leia not as much, but you can still, and even Han, you still tell that they
Han too, because in the first couple, you can tell he's really jealous because of the whole Leia Luke thing, and then after Luke has told Leia that they're siblings, Han comes up and was like, "What were you telling him?" And you're just like, "Oh, he's so jealous." But then he apologizes half-heartedly, and you're like, "Okay, so he's grown a tiny bit, but he's still Han."
But Luke is definitely the one that has grown the most.
Yes.
Right.
Han is always going to be Han.
Yeah.
Leia's, she was pretty mature from the get-go, but
Yeah, but you can still tell that she's growing a little bit.
I think C-3PO is one of the best parts of this movie.
Yeah, because
he's a lot more of a character in this movie than I think than in A New Hope. But Empire, he's pretty good.
Him and R2 once again just have a great dynamic.
And update on something we said in an earlier video: Anthony Daniels, the voice of C-3PO, is in that just pain of a suit to get into.
And the person does not look comfortable.
It doesn't. And the person in Chewbacca suit is not 6'6".
He's 7'3".
He's 7'3".
And he played him in every single Star Wars movie that Chewie appears in. It is.
It's like 2 hunters.
It's
like you take one hunter and then you put another hunter on top of them. And there you go.
It's like a good 2.5.
Sorry, Hunter. But
I don't think he watches your videos.
You never know. No, see, knowing the people that we know, somebody is gonna watch that, and somebody's gonna show them.
Somebody's gonna tell them. One thing I want to bring up, just complete like track off from what we've been talking about is the practical effects and
Or
the original trilogy as a whole, and especially in this movie. I feel like by the time they got around to this movie, they really perfected the whole practical effects.
Because it looks incredible.
Because
Like,
some of those shots with like the large ships, the Rancor,
like
that's a
and
small
then
scale model. Like,
and then there's the and they make it look seamless.
yes, it's
And
perfect.
one thing we said was it's like this like nothing character. It's this robot in Jabba's palace that it's just this real working robot and like. And I said that when you go to Disney, you see all these like robots, and you feel like you're in the Star Wars universe. Because in the original 3, it was literally like all practical effects, and they look insane.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for those when I go to Disney later.
I wanna go
They're It's
Probably spending most of my time. I'll tell you this much: I'm gonna be spending most of my time in Galaxy's Edge.
especially the Rancor. Because at first glance, you're like, dude, that thing is massive. Then you realize it's a small scale because whenever Luke is in front of it, it looks like a green screen, but you can barely tell unless you're like literally looking for it.
It sort of reminds me of I don't know if you'll probably get this, you will too. It sort of reminds me how they do like Megazords and Power Rangers.
Megazord,
yeah, the Megazord.
It's because
the city is like a really small scale.
They make small and Power Rangers. They make small scale, and I guess in like for Japanese case, Super Sentai.
You can imagine they're probably like that big.
Yeah, like you could see
those filming used since like the Godzilla. Films.
Godzilla. That's what popularized it.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's like they use like all the small scale stuff, and it's like the Megazords are just guys in suits. But you don't think about it until you see a picture of like the helmet of a Megazord off and a person underneath it.
Yeah, like
everybody's like, my childhood's ruined.
Because in the Godzilla movies, it's a person in a suit. Is that what the Rancor is? Is this a person in a suit,
It's
or is it?
gotta be.
Or is it a?
Could be.
That's true.
I don't know because I know the Godzilla films were like a dude in a suit smashing prop.
But even if
which
it's
is something they like later incorporate for like other like the Japanese shows, like because they bring it into like shows like Ultraman,
right.
which.
Because
of like all the Japanese shows, you have like Ultraman, Kamen Rider, and Super Sentai.
That's where that all
even if it is a suit, it's like it has so much detail. It's really good.
It's really convincing.
And the person doesn't move like a human. They do, if it is a suit, they do a good job of making it.
Right, definitely big props to the prop designers
to the
set
costume
designers,
and
to the costume and all the people that went into the visuals of that movie, the practical effects and stuff. It's incredible stuff.
Yeah,
they pioneered good.
Yes.
What else do you have?
Freaking.
Yes. What?
What else do you have? Read notes.
Let's see what I can scroll the notes.
Yeah, he's scrolling on his phone. There's a lot.
Let's say he has more than I realized.
You did the speeder bike chase on Endor. I think it was really
no.
ahead of its time. I think it was very, very sick.
I just think there were some shots.
There are some shots where it's in front of the camera's in front of
that shot looks a little funky, but I think it's very ahead of its time.
For the time, it still looks
and like
really good.
and there's one scene where the stormtrooper gets like thrown off this bike, and we had to rewind it because
it's like a dummy.
It's a dummy that hits a tree like a rock.
I'm convinced they actually did that with a dummy. They just threw a dummy into a tree for that.
And like, the explosions they used, like those are all like real explosions.
Yeah,
it's again the practical effects stuff is really good.
Let me see.
Those are always the directors I like. Is that if you can do it practically, do it.
Right.
Only use CGI if you absolutely have to.
I wrote down that the space battles in the original trilogy are just so good looking for the time.
100%. The ships in Star Wars have always just looked great because they're small scale models, and then sometimes when you're in like the hangars of stuff, they make these huge sets, and it's so good.
Yeah,
it's really incredible stuff.
See, what else do you have? Because I can really only think of one more thing to talk about.
I think we've pretty much hit everything
except Ewoks.
Oh
yeah.
Listen, I don't know what you got to say about the Ewoks.
I think they're great.
Okay,
they're
good.
Fantastic.
They're great.
Listen, people hate on the Ewoks, and I don't think it's deserving. If you hate the Ewoks and praise the freaking Porgs, leave.
If Ewoks are bad, then Jawas are bad.
Right,
and Jawas are not bad. So therefore Ewoks are good.
Yeah.
Especially in Mandalorian, Jawas are hilarious.
And people don't realize that Ewoks were never called Ewoks in that movie.
They never even get said.
Because I think George Lucas said it in an interview or something one time, and they're like, "Wait, what is that?" And they go, "Oh, he's the little teddy bear guys." And they're like, "Oh," because they never say what those are called.
Yeah, they never even give them a
name.
name.
And do they even ever say? There's one Ewok that has a name, Wicked.
No.
Do they ever say that? So that must be said because they say it in like Lego Star Wars, obviously. But like, again, it must have been said in an interview or something. But like, yeah.
Yeah, no, they never have a name.
Never say Ewoks.
They never even have a name. It's just they're there. And they're awesome.
But getting
they're cool.
sort of wrapping this up with just the entire end of the movie. And this movie is how you end the trilogy.
It's the perfect conclusion to a
trilogy. It is the perfect conclusion to this trilogy specifically.
I have one more thing. How do y'all feel about the Hayden? So
I was just about to get to
in
that.
special editions. So in the original,
in a theatrical release.
in the theatrical release, Return of the Jedi, the one that people saw in theaters.
Right.
The Force Ghost you see at the end after Luke has burned Vader's body is the guy that played Vader with his mask off.
Right.
Which I like both versions what they did, because in that version, it's sort of like, it sort of gives this like feeling that like Anakin returned at the end, because like
That's how
Jedi's,
Luke knew him.
Yeah, because like when Jedi's die, they become like Force ghosts, like when they previously were, which is like why Ben is always
and it kind of enforces
like that.
Yeah.
Which I sort of like what they did in the theatrical a tiny bit more, if only because like it sort of so that Anakin truly returned at the end. But I still sort of like what they did in the special edition.
Right. The special edition release with them including Hayden Christensen might have been a little bit of fan service, but there's
but the
nothing
thing
wrong
is
with
that even though that's not how Luke knew him, that's
Right.
what he was like when he was a Jedi. And I like that they changed his robes to be light colored.
Yeah.
To be like
I
Obi-Wan's
didn't
color.
notice that they did do
Yeah,
that.
it's
Because
basically
I thought it was a bit
Obi-Wan's
jarring. I'm not
because
gonna lie.
because in the original I've seen like the theatrical release what the original guy looks like. You don't recognize him. You have no idea who it is unless you're like
you just know that
unless you know the actor.
Unless you know the actor. I liked it with Hayden Christensen, even though it's very clearly filmed at two separate times.
Yeah.
I think it works. Some people don't like it, and I'm not going to say you're wrong about it.
I think both versions
Work for their times.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
For sure.
For this trilogy, Star Wars does a fantastic job of ending 2 out of the 3 trilogies.
Yes.
Because I think this was
And the third, I don't think is as bad as people say.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we will.
But like this, in terms just the original trilogy, this was the perfect end to it, and
the final shot of the movie is like the
entire original cast,
the entire A-team cast, like all like the A-list actors just all in one shot, and it's great.
Now,
plus the Ewoks,
plus the Ewoks. So
ratings.
Yeah, ratings now.
Logan,
you go first.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead hot take. This is my favorite one of the original trilogy.
Okay, I won't.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite. I just think it concludes it so perfectly. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10.
Okay, I'm not gonna argue with that even.
Neither would I.
I was gonna say 8.5. So I gave. What did I get? I gave Empire.
You gave Empire a 10.
I gave Empire a 10. I think I gave New Hope a 9.
Yeah,
I believe.
Because I gave New Hope a 9.5.
Okay, now that I think, I'm gonna say either 8.5 or 9 because I can't. I'm going to say 9 because I think I enjoy this movie just a little bit more than A New Hope, but they're both so good. This trilogy is by far and away the three best movies.
In my opinion, of all just trilogies that exist, I think this is my favorite. Just of any trilogy ever.
Because there's no real major flaws with any of them.
No, the only trilogies that rival this in terms of how much I like them are Tom Holland Spider-Man movies and the Captain America trilogy. But I still think this is better. And just me personally.
Yes.
Because I'm gonna give Return of the Jedi the same score these guys did. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
If only because just parts of that entire beginning scene, I just had problems with parts of it.
Right.
And a couple parts throughout the movie, but I still really enjoyed this movie. I think A New Hope is better, but I think I enjoyed this a little.
They're just different.
About as much as
they're really different.
Yeah, it's very different.
And if you give this a 10, I completely see where you're coming from.
I can't argue any of them being 10 out of 10.
Oh, 100%.
Empire's 10 out of 10.
Empire's a 10.
Because we both gave it a 10 out of 10.
My personal take on if I'm to review, if I wasn't here for the reviews for A New Hope or
yeah.
Well, we'll go ahead. What would you give New Hope?
I would give A New Hope an 8.5.
Okay.
And then I would give Empire a 9 as well.
Okay. Yeah, I won't. Yeah.
Okay. That's fair.
The fact that all of them are above 8 shows how good this.
Yeah.
Great trilogy.
It really does. It's an incredible trilogy, and if you haven't seen this trilogy,
where have you been living?
Yeah,
you haven't watched Star Wars yet. You've got a lot of catching up to do, but
that's the thing. Because unfortunately, we were gonna have Caden Emerson be in this video, but he couldn't make it. So hopefully he'll be here for Phantom Menace. But yeah, this trilogy as a whole was just incredible.
Absolutely.
And now we have finised the original trilogy, which is
on to Phantom Menace.
And now next time we are going to be doing Phantom Menace.
I love it.
I'm gonna have a lot more complaints about the prequels. I'm just
I
warning
like the prequels a lot more than a lot
The
of
prequels
people.
are still enjoyable,
Yeah.
but
I'm gonna have some complaints.
They're different.
I'm
They're
yeah,
different.
I'm not gonna
They're
give
different.
the first two the most positive scores. Now, when we get to the third prequel, I'm still gonna have like one or two complaints, but that's it.
Yeah, there are complaints with all three of
I'm
them.
already like have a good idea of where my complaints are gonna be on all.
But I know where
Same.
my praises for the movies are going to be.
Oh, same, easily.
All three of them.
Yep.
Well, yeah, that's gonna have to do it. So
Sure.
I guess stay tuned for whenever we do Phantom Menace, probably later this week, maybe.
Probably.
We'll have to wait and see.
I'm ready to talk about them all.
Talk about them all.
Of course you are.
Valid.
So, yep, maybe probably Phantom Menace later on. Well, we'll record it later this week. Who knows when it'll go up?
Right.
But we'll see. So, thank y'all for watching, and we'll see y'all later with it.
Peace.